My name is John and I'm the trawler guide at the Grimsby Fishing Heritage Centre. Fishing Heritage Centre was built and opened in 1991 to show life in the town of Grimsby during the 1950s, and it takes you through the years of the 50s into the 60s to show just how hard Grimsby was in the early days of fishing.
I'm the Port Missioner for Grimsby. The Fisherman's Mission is a charity, it's a registered charity with a Christian ethos.
Steve Norton, Chief Executive, Grimsby Fish Merchants Association. The Fish Merchants Association is a trade association that was formed in 1911, so therefore we're in our centenary year. We are now just a trade association.
Unfortunately, due to the restrictions put on by Europe, the quotas, etc., a lot of the boats now have been decommissioned, in fact most of the boats, and we're left nowadays with a fleet of only about 6 or 7, which is, as the knock-on effect has completely devastated the area, and as such we have now a big welfare problem, just like the mining industry all those years ago.
Peak time for fishing was the 60s and the 70s. That was the great days. Grimsby was famous for the amount of fish that's used to land. Monday used to be the biggest market of the week. Up to 20,000 10-stone boxes of fish were on the Grimsby Fish Market. Even on a Saturday morning, which was half day on the fish docks, you could get between 7,000 and 8,000 10-stone boxes of fish being landed on trawlers.
Well, the industry in the early 70s to mid-70s was very buoyant, in as much as we had over 500 vessels operating out of Grimsby, 6,000 fishermen and 40,000 associated people within the industry.
Big trawlers probably had crews of, say, at least 20 people. Those 20 people needed support services on shore, engineering, shipwrights, boilermakers, etc., as well as fish processors, ship's chandlers. There was a lot of people on shore to actually keep one person at sea. So therefore there was a decline, and many parts of Grimsby suffered severe deprivation because of that.
The mission provides 24-hour emergency care for the fishermen. What we do is provide them with finances, with practical help, with pastoral and spiritual help as well. And it's our job really to just look after them, just to make sure they're okay.
I was a fisherman between the years of 1960 to 1976. I did my first trip to sea on a trawler when I was 9 years old. It was 3 weeks in the summer holidays. It was known as a pleasure trip, and it was aboard the Grimsby trawler, the Bombardier. I spent most of my life in Rossgrove. My first working trawler, which was given to me by the pool on Fishdock Road, because you had to go to the nautical school first on Orwell Street, and you had to get a certificate, and then you went to the pool, and the pool found you a ship. And my first ship working was a ship called the Galilean, which was one of Tosh Robinson's, and I was galley boy decky learner. So I helped in the galley steaming to the fishing grounds, and then I went out on deck while we fished, and then coming home I reverted back to the galley. But then I moved into Rossgrove.
As you know, I've just come back off the Jubilee Quest. I spent 6 days out into the North Sea. We only went 120 miles east, so relatively comfortable, fortunately. But it was eye-opening for me to see these conditions in real life. You know, the cold and the biting wind and the clumping of the chains and the deprivation of sleep, and it was just, to be honest, you know, the life of a fisherman is a hard life.
When she fished the Faroe Islands, she carried a crew of 12 men. With a crew of 12 men, there is no watch below. That means you work on the deck of the trawler until the work on the trawler is finished. Sometimes you could be on deck up to 48 hours without any sleep. Iceland, because we carried the extra 2 crew members, then we worked a shorter day. We worked 18 hours on, 6 hours off.
But when the industry went into meltdown, if you like, it's very difficult, and I don't think that those adjustments have been made within the fishing industry. There are many fishermen now that are still seeking work, or just haven't found work, and because of what happened to them, they've turned to other things. Unfortunately, drink being one of the most popular things, because they feel very let down by what's happened to them within the industry. The only skills they had was, of course, at sea, tying ropes and using winches and all the things that happened there. And of course, later on in life, they just haven't got those core skills, and there are so many of them out there. They've just lost interest, really. So it's trying to keep their spirits up.
People think that the decline in the fishing industry was quotas. It was nothing to do with quotas whatsoever. We had a quota with the Icelandic government for 110,000 tonnes of fish a year. We never had enough trawlers in the whole of the British Isles to catch 110,000 tonnes. But we still had a codwar. Even today, we've got a quota with Iceland for 110,000 tonne and no trawlers to catch it.
The fish market starts every morning at 7 o'clock. It's a Monday to Friday operation, and there is an auction of fresh fish. The majority of fish that is sold through the auction these days is imported Icelandic fish that comes through the commercial port of Immingham. Probably 70% of the volume, which is only around about 20,000 tonnes per annum, is from Iceland. The rest is made up from other countries and suppliers. We get some from Faroe, we get fish from Scotland, we get fish from Ireland during the Irish season, and we also get a few vessel landings. There's 1 or 2 vessels here this morning on the quay, but Grimsby has only got 8 registered vessels now.
We have a lot of mobility issues now as well with the fishermen, because of course, the conditions were so cold and damp that they've got a lot of arthritic problems as well, a lot of mobility issues. So there's a lot of poverty out there with these guys.
There were accidents aboard trawlers. Fishermen did get washed over the side. Some fishermen got washed over the side and washed back again. Some people lost fingers, hands, legs. Some had their heads chopped off because of the gear that you're using. It was deemed the most dangerous peacetime job in the world. More so that 14% more dangerous than coal mining.
I think the future of the port is, in terms of fishing, it won't change. It can only get worse unless things change from the top, through Europe and through the government, and we start really looking at ways to sustain what we've got in the fishing industry and to improve the conditions and the quotas as well, to increase the quotas, try to eliminate any discard, because it's ridiculous that you go out fishing and then you have to throw 75% of it back because you've taken up that quota for that month. So all this fish is dead, so it's no good to anyone apart from the seagulls, so when it's thrown back. So they need to address that issue. They need to address and find out if there is a way that they can now increase, what we've lost, try to get more boats out. But I don't think that's going to happen as a personal view.
To put it bluntly, there is no fishing industry in Grimsby as it used to be. From a port, in the 1800s when we first started up fishing in this port, there were 1,400 ships sailing out of Grimsby. When I started fishing in 1960, there was 700 trawlers sailing out of the port. Today, you'll be lucky if you can find 4 ships sailing out of there. There is nothing like this anywhere in the world. When this trawler disappears, then the history of Grimsby will be confined to books. You'll have to read about it.